Great. Okay, now we're recording. I always forget to record, but I think I've done it correctly. Let's go ahead and start. Why don't we, Jeremy, if you want to go first, we'll go in reverse order and do philosophy, then work our way back to art. So if Ficino, you would like to present, you can share your screen with the green button and give us some background.
All right, let me just, we've got like a million windows up.
That's fair.
Okay.
Or hey, Jack, we're waiting on Ficino. Jeremy's going to start sharing a screen.
Sorry, I'm late.
Perfect. Glad you're here.
That's nice. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I always forget how to present it. Oh, here it is. All right. Oh, that's the last slide. Okay, so just a quick off topic or off game thing. This was a little challenging for me, but I'm gonna try my best to go through. So I'm Marsilio Ficino. I am a Christian and a Neoplatonist, of course, and I am going to go over my philosophy relatively briefly and tell you guys kind of what I'm about and what I kind of envision for society and kind of how I see my philosophy. So, and of course, this is the famous painting by Raphael, the what was once the Academy, founded by Plato. So, what is Neoplatonism? So, it's it's pretty complicated, but essentially all of reality revolves around what is known as the one. And it's not a god and it's not really a human like thing, but it's more so a principle, sort of like how the laws of nature are, and it sort of unifies all of reality. um, the one creates something known as the intellect, and the intellect is what enables us to think, to contemplate, to understand. Um, the one, and oh well, because of our intellect, we're able to ponder, to think about the one, the very thing that gives us intellect, and so we're able to think about it. And this sort of concept of us being able to contemplate and think about the one is called the soul. It's this concept, it's our inner being. The soul emerges from the intellect. Um, it's the probably the most authentic, real part of what makes us human. And kind of alongside that is matter. So there's this sort of dualism with humans. We have the soul, and then we have matter, and there's sort of this conflicting balance where we want to, through the soul, we kind of can reach the one, we can reach this greater enlightenment, um, but that kind of requires battling out sort of the material world, or what have you. Um, all right, let me see. And then, of course, Plotinus is one of the founding architects of Neoplatonism. It all kind of goes down to Plato, but when we're talking about specifically about Neoplatonism, Plotinus is the guy, essentially. In regards to my Christian view of Neoplatonic philosophy, I sort of see this sort of battle of, the flesh and the soul, and it's our job to try and reach the one, but in this case it's the kingdom of heaven. God? How do we get as close to God, and how do we reach heaven? For me, that is my one, for lack of a better term. Um, and so, we have to kind of battle out the flesh, this material part of us, that is trying to hold us back. And so what I see right now in, for example, Florence today, is I think we're letting the flesh win. We're letting this sort of animalistic side of us win. We're not, rather than trying to achieve a greater knowledge of ourselves and a greater knowledge of God and the universe, we're sort of placing a lot of faith within ourselves. What I propose is sort of formulating a society based on Plato's Republic, in which Plato proposes at one point in his work that society ought to be governed by philosopher kings. These people are sort of the greatest intellects, the most gifted of the population, and they call the shots. And I propose that we have a society in which those who are closest to God be able to make all the fundamental decisions of what we should be doing. So the clergy would be a great example of that. I believe that we are essentially sort of falling away from, well, like I said before, we're kind of falling away. This is a picture of what is left of Plato's Academy. It was at one point the foremost center for intellectual inquiry and Neoplatonic philosophy. It was destroyed by Justinian many generations ago. And I think that we're sort of seeing history repeat itself. I think many of my fellow Florentines are veering away from God. We're veering away from intellect. We're veering away from many of the things that improve the human race. And we could soon see many of our great structures or buildings, our centers for science and philosophy, end up just like Plato's Academy. So that about narrows it down. I hope I wasn't too confusing there.
No, that was great. Thank you. Does anyone have questions for Ficino? Or does anyone have their own insights? Perhaps they've studied with a philosopher in their recent background about Neoplatonism, and they want to add something.
I had a question. So are you saying that you're in favor of the path that Savonarola is leading Florence to?
I'm not a very big fan of Savonarola. I feel like he kind of runs counter to many of to my beliefs. I feel like he's sort of a threat to Neoplatonism as a whole. To me, he's a threat to the very foundation of the Florentine Republic. So no, I'm not a very big fan of Savonarola at all.
But another clergyman you would be in favor of.
Yeah, I think that there are
Any other questions or comments? That was a really helpful discussion about the history of Neoplatonism and what it stands for. Maybe the next person to hear from best would be Rucellai, Jessica, since you're on a similar theme. I think you might be on mute. Say something else.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Hi. Oh, okay. Let's see. I'm gonna move this over here and you guys over here. I don't usually use slides, so I'm trying to figure out how to open it. Does anybody use Google Slides? slideshow. Ah, there's a big button. Okay. Let's see. And
And there's the big green share screen button at the bottom if you click that.
thank you. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, share. Right, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. I put my speech somewhere. What is not? Oh, here it is. I got it. Okay. Okay, so greetings to the guild and our guests. I'm Bernardo Raquelli, and I think that it's perfect that I'm going next because why is this so small? We just learned about what happened to the Platonic Academy, and I have a proposal that we use my home and gardens to reestablish the Platonic Academy, because I think it's very important that we continue to study, and so I'll go ahead and show you the area. These lovely paintings. So here is my courtyard, and on sunny days we can go here to discuss. And it was designed by Leon Battista Alberti, based on, you can see there is Roman and Greek architecture in the big archways, and it's very inspirational to discuss Plato and Aristotle and Socrates. And on rainy days, we can go inside on the first floor. It's a 4-floor building. I believe the facade, you can see the facade here. I live on the 3rd floor. My servants are on the 4th floor, and I receive special guests on the 2nd floor. But the 1st floor is open to for the use of the school, and you can see some more detail in the design and architecture details here, and these plans. And the roof of the building, I can't remember what Leon said it was called, but it's also never mind, it's not important. The building is kind of a strange shape, but that's kind of the area we had available. But like I said, there's lots of space here for plenty of academics. And so if any of you scholars, especially Marcelo Facinio, want to come here and discuss philosophy and history, this is, you should talk to me.
Great. Anyone have questions, comments, or invitations to accept?
So just to be clear, this is your home?
Yes, it's my home.
Oh, okay. I was like, hey,
Yeah, because we lost the Platonic Academy. There wasn't really a true home for it, so I'm saying we should make its home in my home and gardens and grotto area. Also, we talked about a little bit about Friar Savonarola, and he is very, very against the arts for some reason, but I think his views are a little extreme, because art and literature is not against God. Like you were listening to Marsilio, right? And in another discussion of Platonic works, he said, after we have gazed at sensible beauty more attentively and known the divine beauty, then we finally love God, cherishing him as the good. So art and literature and God are not mutually exclusive. Yeah.
Yeah, he's I think Savonarola is a little kind of brutish in my opinion. But I do like your proposal for finding a replacement on the on Plato's Academy.
Great. Great.
Anyone else? All right, I think you can stop sharing.
Okay. Cool.
And let's go on. Tucker, you are going to talk about your palots. Oh, wait, wait, are there more gardens?
Yeah, so this was a little bit more outside. We've got some statues. But I wanted to make sure that you don't confuse it with the Medici gardens. They have like a lemon garden and they're like right next door, but later I might consider buying this land to make more room for the Platonic Academy, but I don't want you to get it confused, okay? So now I'll stop sharing.
No, it's good to see more. If you have more, we're happy to see it.
I don't. I'm sorry. I'll have to put it up on our forum later.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Did it stop?
It didn't stop yet. See if you hit that green
Oh.
button. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I found it. Sorry.
Perfect. No, perfect. Tucker, you're talking, I mean, Strozzi, you're talking about your palazzo as well. Would you mind talking next? Is that right?
Yes, I'm going to be honest. I'm not prepared for today.
That's no problem. Do you want to just post some thoughts on the shared forum?
Can I just put something
Channel?
up later after?
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, send us some pictures or links or whatever if you want to just put out a call. It's just I think another opportunity for us to just dwell in the Florentine architecture.
Okay.
Is the goal. So I know you've got a lot of good stuff already in your speech, so you can just put a little bit together. That's fine.
Okay. I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that. I was kind of
Don't
confused on
stress.
what to put for today. So
Thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
being honest.
no, thank you.
Okay, let's go on to Botticelli and maybe you can correct our vision of art that may be incorrect. See what you think.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up my speech on my phone because I just realized that I couldn't present this PowerPoint and also speak at the same time because I couldn't see it. So just one moment and I'll be good to go.
While you're working on that, people who haven't, Alicia and Jack and Tucker, people who joined a little late, I mean, not late, just not early. Will you guys, if you don't already have the typed up list of names that people you want to nominate for the priors, if you haven't sent me that yet, send it to me via direct message on Slack, and then I'll tally it while you guys are talking amongst yourselves after we have the presentations.
Okay.
Thank you. And Carson / Botticelli, when you're ready, just take over the share your screen and whatever else.
Yeah, you got it. Sorry, it's like freaking
Yeah,
out.
take your time. Alicia, I'm gonna rename you.
Yeah, I forgot how to spell my name, so it's like I'll just go in with
There
my
you go.
actual name.
There you go. So you're Paolo Antonio, like Paul Anthony, Paolo Antonio, and your brother is the bishop, and then your other brother here today.
I think it's Francisco, right?
Yeah, the other brother. Oh, Caitlin, your other brother is visiting New York City. Your other brother is Piero. Oh, are you not Paolo Antonio? You're Paolo Francesco. You're Francesco Soderini, bishop, right? Anyway, there's 3 Soderinis, just so we can all keep them straight.
Okay.
All right, you ready, Botticelli?
I think so, yeah. I'm about to just go ahead and share my screen. All right, cool. Is it up?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Good friends, my name is Sangro Botticelli. Some of you may know me from my various artistic works, such as The Birth of Venus and Mars and Venus. I was a patron under the Medici family, and I would spend many years adhering to their beliefs as though they were my own. I am indebted for the opportunity to grow as an artist and have my work shown in such a popular state. I have learned much under these people, but more recently, I have a new light. I never knew I was lost until I heard the ideas of Savonarola. He brings new ideas and a call of reform to our troubled state. The great light presiding behind the Medici rule is faded. While this is unfortunate, it is like an autumn leaf falling, to give life to something even greater. Savonarola is this new sapling, leading a new Christian Republic flock, like a shepherd. In his writing, The 10 Rules to Observe in Times of Great Tribulations, he states the first rule is to pray to God devoutly and with steadfastness, that he might send good captains to console, cheer, and comfort the people of God, whose in times, because of the great tribulations and because of the weakness and scarcity of natural and supernatural light, easily slip from good and fall to sin. My friends, our shepherd is here to lead us to newer pastures, to greener lands. No longer will the capture of pagan idols the capture of pagan idols cursed me in the past, but I've shed these new ideas thanks to Savonarola. Before you, you see the spring. This was one of my older pieces. I made it some point around the 1470s. It shows pagan idols. Hold on, I have a couple notes about it. It's one of the older pieces, and I paint it to represent the small amount of people that are able to relish in the company of the learned. As can be seen, very few are portrayed, and just like Florence, not many are able to relish in this. It is pagan of origin, and if you notice, the necklaces upon the figures represented are that of the Medici family. I believe this represents my potential to capture the power and prestige of those that I've been contracted by. Moving on, we have Pallas and the Centaur. This is another early painting of mine before I've seen Savonarola, and it is also pagan in nature, relying on Pallas. Pallas being only Roman god. She is not represented anywhere else except for through Romanesque painting. She also bears the mark of Medici upon her, and this was contracted by the family to show the power and prestige they have as well. To something more contemporary, we have the lamentation over the dead Christ with the saints. This painting is more modern, like I said, than my last, and I believe it represents things very well. It represents the Virgin Mary and saints mourning the death of Christ. And the bodies I've laid down in a very particular way to represent a Paida within the painting itself, which is an Italian symbol. Moving on, we have Christ carrying the cross. While this piece doesn't have as much to take away from it, I think it's a great representation of what I hope to achieve and what I hope to fulfill myself with the new needs and new ideas I find. Christ is very calm in this painting, and he's also not burdened or weakened by the weight of the cross. He is simply carrying it forward with a very neutral expression. But I still managed to capture his his divine light behind him with the halo, as well as those around him who hide their faces in maybe shame or perhaps mournfulness. And on to the last. This is a piece of a 4-part painting that I was contracted to do, and it shows the story of Nastasio, a rather interesting story who follows the man who had unrequited love towards a woman, and after meeting a ghost who would hunt another woman in the forest, Nastasio would bring this woman to see what would happen if she requited his love in the future. For there she married him. I think all these paintings are a good representation of what I am capable of, the many different facets of art I can address, all of the from pagan to more Christian contemporary design. Let this be a show and a presentation for you all to maybe come and requisition art from me. Thank you very much.
That was really helpful. Questions for Botticelli or comments about this varied output of work?
I had some questions too regarding I actually for Botticelli and was it Jeremy Ficino?
Yeah.
So I was under the impression, I'm an outsider, by the way. I'm not from Florence, so just hopefully you guys can catch me up here. So I thought the point of art was to be, or Renaissance art was to have virtue, to exclaim ideals and beliefs. Ficino, could you talk a little bit on, do you know if, how much sophistry has a bit to play into this artwork? I thought these artists made artwork based on their own ideals, but seeing that you're paid to make this artwork to purvey somebody's point of view, how does that have an effect on you guys politics wise? I know, for example, what is it? Hold on, sorry. I was looking at my notes. What is it? Yeah, that's really what I was going to ask. Was I said, does this more represent philosophy or sophistry in your artwork? And if so, what extent does you're being paid to purvey these views show that they might be corrupt or something that we shouldn't follow in? At the end of the day, I'm just trying not to get wrapped around a bad crew here in Florence. I want to get with the people who everybody seems to agree with and seem to have reason behind. So could you guys just explain a little bit of that to me? If you guys didn't know what sophistry was too, I could, or maybe Dr. Belzer could put a little input on that.
Are you referring to oh, sorry, what?
Go ahead. Yeah, if you got something, go ahead.
Sorry, by sophistry, you mean like the literal Greek philosophy or just like bad arguments?
Yeah, just like the Greek philosophy, because I see you're a Platonist.
James, I think you muted yourself.
Yeah, I was more talking about in the Greek Platonic philosophy essence, because you're a Platonic philosopher, just from the aspect of philosophy is finding truth with a capital T, whereas sophistry is more finding or using these man-made things to acquire power in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to brush up on my sophistry, but I would generally say that I'm more that while I think there is some credit to the material world and man-made objects, I typically don't feel that that is the most real part of the world. I think that ultimately there's something beyond the material world, and I think we should be striving for that rather than the things of this earth. So while I think we can lend some credence to, say, art, which I do greatly admire many of the Florentine paintings, it is ultimately there's another part of reality that I think we should be striving for more so. The art is more of like an ends to a mean, to discover, more to this world, if that makes sense. So.
No, I got you. Maybe to clarify my argument a little bit, just in reference to Botticelli, maybe you could touch on this one a bit. I just know corruption is a big deal. You guys are wondering about the corruption in your government, and sophistry has a lot to play into corruption. I mean, just the fact that the ruling class was paying some of the best artists here to commemorate works that express their ideas. That shows that maybe people without those connections, those wealth, can't express their ideas or can't express them equally. I just wanted to know how you guys thought about that as a government. I know that you guys were talking about maybe having a representative government, a voted in government, or a government based on oligarchic rule by families. So maybe you guys will have to go back and research a little some to have a better answer on this. I didn't mean to spring it on you guys, but it is something that I'm just contemplating on. How does this artwork appeal to you all as leaders of Florence? So.
But to answer that, from my perspective, I at one point I was based on commission from artists like the Medici family. I was underneath them. So yeah, power and prestige were something that were painted and represented within more maybe paganistic artwork. But I think in more contemporary times, a lot of artists, including myself, have reformed in a sense under new ideals. And I would say that the paintings I make now are much less representative of what I had maybe 20 years ago underneath the Medici family.
All right, cool. That pretty much answers my question, and I think that's a pretty virtuous answer.
Other questions, comments, reflections?
I just wanted to say, Sandra, you're an old family friend, and I've always greatly admired your skill and your ability to create art where there was nothing. And I always considered that as something almost totally like transcendent. And so I am saddened that you think so little of your previous work that brought such joy to so many Florentines. So I mean, all the best to you, but there was something truly special about your work. So don't feel the need to, I guess, get rid of all of the qualities that make your work so unique and special.
I'll add, Botticelli. I admire that you're able to think outside the box, and you did mention how you were associated with the Medicis for some time, and I know I have a bit of indifference to them. I do believe they have many great qualities, but not so great qualities at the same time. And so I'm just glad to see that you're sort of using your artistic abilities and your virtuous character to its max, and not so much just serving corruption.
Excellent. Lots of really important ideas, I think, connecting up ethics and values and leadership with the art and architecture. So thank you guys. That is a lot to think about as you go forward. Sorry, I said a little note, but I don't know if you saw it. So I just closed you down. Okay, we have the announcements. Marcello Bernardo Del Nero, you are the vote winner. So you are the Gonfalonieri, the new head of the Priors. Congrats on your popularity. So you're in charge of putting together the agenda. So if there's stuff that people want on the agenda, please reach out to Bernardo Del Nero, Marcello. It's posted in Slack as well. Right now, everyone who holds an office, like 10 of war, 6 of security, whatever they all are, 16 standard bearers, those offices are still in place. So Bernardo, if you want to change those, Marcello, we have 2 Bernardos. Marcello, if you want to change those, or if any of the other priors want to change them, you can reach out and y'all can work together. Anything you guys decide, there's 5 of you. So if 3 of you vote to do something, it's done. If there's anyone you need to accuse of a state crime, there have to be 4 of you that approve of it. But think about those things. I know there's a hurricane, but if we want to get the news out to people, I know that Fra Domenico, who's not here today, David, is keen to have a bonfire of the vanities organized. So I think there'll probably be a morality discussion about the future of what kind of rules Florence's morality should be. So my guess is that's agenda item number 1. And then you guys can figure out the other agenda items. But if you have changes that you want to make to the office holders, then please do that as soon as possible so those people can be prepared for their reports. Just in case you guys didn't see the new priors, there's some people rolling over. So Tucker Strozzi is rolling over, and Marianne, who is Pazzi, is rolling over. But new members are Ficino, Jeremy, Rucellai, Jessica, and Del Nero, Marcello. Questions? cats. Just keep your eye on glory points. So if there's something that you want to, I know we have some artists in the house here. Ginevra DeBenchi is also an artist who's played by Bree, but it looks like she dropped off the call. But if you want to commission a work of art or a humanist treatise from Ficino, go ahead and get that rolling also, because those need to be done in writing, and some of them take like 3 turns. So like if you have palace repairs that you need, Rucellai or anything, if you want to complete your construction, a lot of that starts on page 19 here, so it kind of has a list of what you should do, but you're gonna have to like give me some of your actual coins because it costs money to get it
I
done.
wasn't at last class. I didn't. Oh, we'll
Sorry.
worry about that later. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, we can also backdate it. So if you need it to have started last class and you put it in your speech and I didn't notice, then we'll settle up with our finances in the future. You can also just produce your own art, even if you're not an artist. One of the fun things about this game is other people produce art besides just Botticelli and Ginevra. I've got some great examples in my office. So you can produce real art, or you can be inspired through collages of other people's art. So don't put the pressure on yourself. But produce art without patronage, or produce humanist erudition without patronage. If you want to write poems or you want to write a treatise, that's all for the glory bit as well. Any questions for me?
Just to be sure, so
Yeah.
my character could try and get glory points as well, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Sure.
I just want to make sure. I was a little confused if my character specifically could do
Yeah.
that.
No, everybody wants glory. All of you want to be the person who wins the most glory. I'll give a glorified prize to. So try to collect the most glory. So if someone hires you to do art, then you get 3 glory. If you do your own art, you can get 2 glory, and maybe you can sell it to someone else for some of those little gold coins or something. Art and writing. So the same kind of thing. You can write something that someone hires you. So if you yourself don't want to write it, but you want some glory, you can hire someone else to do it for you. Or you can do it yourself for 1 or 2. The list is on page 19. So just keep that in mind, because that's also part of this Florentine culture, right? It's part of what Savonarola wants to destroy. But those of you who want it can get it these other ways. Other questions?
Yes, so if you write or create art or do something, how do you get the glory for that? Like, do you just put it in the Slack?
You can present it in class. You can post on Slack if you have like a photograph of it, but if it's an actual painting, or bring it to class and just say, I've got to present to you my new work of art, and just take some time, ask the priors for some agenda time, and you can jump right in.
Sweet, and then you just get the glory?
Yeah.
And we need to let you know prior to doing
So yeah, so let me know. I think especially if it's something that's going to take, so the patronage takes 3 sessions, the Palazzo renovation takes 2 sessions, the Palazzo construction takes 3. So just look through there, just make sure so that I know you're working on it, because some of it you got to pay for. So if you hire someone, the costs are like, it costs 1 florin per game and whatever like that. So you got it. There's like a whole list of what things cost. And the same things like military campaigns cost and whatever. So now we have our treasurer back. Janelle, who's playing Scarlatti, will try and track the money that way too.
So if people wanted to help pitch in to help me finish my building area for the plateau, they can get glory for helping
So
establish
that's
the
a good
Plateau
question.
Ac-
You can
Academy.
share, if you want to share the glory, that would be very gracious. You can share some glory. I might ask for some money in exchange for that, right? So maybe you could franchise that out. Good call. If you need to. So yeah, just again, a lot of this game, like the last one too, is sort of the behind the scenes networking. So just don't forget to keep that alive. I know it's a little harder on Zoom. But hopefully we have 3 more in session and possibly 4 if we need them. In session time, so we'll just see what we can get going. Any other questions?
I had a question about our writing assignment for next Tuesday. My character, it says I can do a military or a political speech. I had a question on the military speech. That is that more about like after I've signed a contract or so on and so forth, like what I would do Or
Yeah, it could be something where you outline some strategy. I could imagine it could also be a speech to your troops. So I think it can be kind of anything broadly defined. You can also write things that are not to me, like you can write to Charles. I mean, not you necessarily, you probably don't want to, but if there's someone, or if you want to write to the Pope, I mean, you can write things that only go to me that aren't like shared, but you still get the credit for them. So yeah, if you don't know what those are, like if you don't have good ideas about what you're going to write about, just email me and text me on Slack and we'll figure it out together.
I did have a good idea, but you said, sorry, this should be a quick question.
Yeah.
I was just gonna write a letter to one of the characters in the game who's a prior, asking them to make me a Condottiere contract. Is that a good one to do?
Yes, perfect. Just still make sure you have the two primary sources, including Machiavelli as a source. So just make sure it's still something I can grade and be like, I see that you've done a little research, check. And then, yeah, so you're sort of like CCing me, like you're sending me a copy and you send it to them. Love it.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, will do.
Perfect. Anyone else? Thanks you guys for your attention. Please stay safe and dry. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you.
All right, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.